What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with the Business Choreography Podcast. And today we have something super special for you because we're getting a little bit out of the box and maybe a little in the box. Today with us on the show, we have a very special guest, Danijela Saponjic. There we go. I tried so hard, and here we are. She is an esteemed Feng Shui and space healing master with over 20 years of experience as the founder and CEO of Unfolding Space and the Space Healing Method. In her School of Spiritual Design, she teaches aspiring practitioners to tap into their intuitive abilities and create balanced spaces. Guys, we're so lucky to have her here, and this is going to rock your world. Little bit out of the box today, but you need it, and you need to hear about this. Let's cue the intro, and we'll jump right in. Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. Danijela, thank you so much for being on the show today. I am so excited to have you here.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We are going to have some fun, and I'm sure some of our guests at this juncture are thinking to themselves, why in the world did you bring somebody on the show to talk about Feng Shui? And I think it's super important. And I feel like it's an element that has affected my world and my life. And I wanted to share it with you guys, the audience. And I wanted to have somebody as an expert that could come on and talk with us a little bit about the importance of it and the value of it. But as our guests or as our audience know, I love to start with backstory. So I want to start with how you got into this and how you ended up in this point. So let's start from where you feel like is the beginning, and let's start to jump through this and learn about your journey to get to this point.
Oh, yes. So thank you so much. So this journey started for me when I was 23 years old. I just finished my degree in economics at the University of Applied Sciences in Munich. And I was totally clear that my career is in marketing. This is like I worked my whole life. That's what I felt for this career. And then I got married in the meantime. We had our first son when I was 24. And then I couldn't find a job. I was like, oh my God, I was working my whole life to get this, to get this into this career. And back then it felt like nobody wants me because I'm a mom, I'm young, I'm married. So today I understand, I call destiny the masters of life. So it's easier for me to relate to them. So today I say the masters of life did not see me in this career. So they pulled all the resources not to give me the job, but they brought me across an article where the author was talking about clutter clearing and how clutter clearing in your space can change your life. So we're talking about a year 2003, and I remember reading it. I was like, no way! Like, no way is doing something in my space is going to change my life. I couldn't bring those two things together because I'm marketing and only hard work and what you do, that's what you get. Otherwise, there is nothing else behind it. And since things didn't get better, I told my husband, well, let's try this weird thing. Let's just try to clutter clear our apartment. We did. And two things happened which really moved the needle. The first thing was that we got a government payment we were expecting for half a year. And it came through on Monday. So weekend we were clearing. On Monday came the payment. And on Tuesday, we got a yes to a very nice apartment in a beautiful part of the city. And we could move. And I was like, okay, something is happening here. And this is where the path started. I started reading books. I started taking classes. And I think within a few months, I told my husband, listen, I want to learn this. I'm not going to look for another job. I want to become a Feng Shui consultant. And he's like, well, I mean, would you consider, it's like, no, 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 no. So with 26, I started this career, and I was building it. I was building my family. We were building our family. So we have 4 children. We are both entrepreneurs, and I'm so happy that and grateful that the Masters of Life said, like, this is not the way for you. This is the way, because now I really feel that I'm doing something meaningful and something out of the box, a very special career. And at the same time, I have the background, economic business background, so I can connect this very spiritual work with really down to earth methods. So it's a very special mixture of knowledge.
Yes, I love that. There's a lot behind Feng Shui and the process that goes into it. I mean, it's ages and ages old. And I remember when one of my mentors first brought it to me and started talking to me about utilizing the benefits of it. And I didn't believe very much. I was a skeptic, to say the least. So I'm guessing there might be some skeptics out there, some data driven, like you said, you came from the business space and the marketing space. There might be some data driven, numbers type people out there that are thinking, okay, come on. Uh, how can you prove that to me? Right. So let's address that straight away.
Oh, I'd love to. So I'm having my school, as you mentioned, and very often my students are asking me, just like, oh, I talk about feng shui, and then people tell me just what you now said, like, who's believing in this? There's a proof. Can you prove it? And I always tell them, just ask. I mean, feng shui is 5,000 years old. If something doesn't work, can it survive 5,000 years? Usually not. So yeah, I mean, this is one way to address it, but the other way is also to say, just Google, if you want to Google, um, who is using feng shui in the business world. You will be amazed. You
Right.
will be amazed. The top people in the business world all over the world, I'm not talking only about Asia, I'm talking about all over the world, are implementing feng shui in their businesses. So my question is, what are we waiting for?
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I guess with anything, there are lots of different styles. If you look at martial arts, there's a lot of different styles of martial arts. Is that the same with feng shui? Is there a lot of different styles or methods or versions of it, or is it like this is the way and everybody should be doing it that way?
Oh, you have different schools, and it went through a evolution. So you have different perspectives, you have different schools, and also question is, which I get asked very often, like, okay, you say this is the way, to do it, but I read or another feng shui teacher told me this way is the right way. So which one is the right way? Both are right. They are just different approaches. This is because of its complexity. Um, for me, I think it's just important for my clients and my students, or even for the listeners, just see what way. Don't compare the different ways and solutions. Just feel the way which is compelling to you the most, and then just walk this path. Don't start hopping from one to the other, because you will get confused, and this is, yeah, it's a pity. So just choose one path, stick to it, take it step by step, feel what you have done, and then take the next step.
Right. I feel like you just described how a marketing journey should go. Don't stop hopping around from all these different marketers to not just pick one, make it work, because
Right.
it's probably going to. You just have
Mhm.
to actually do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Let's chat a little bit about. There might be some listeners on right now that we've said feng shui a bunch of times now. It's on the description. They're here and they're still wondering, what the heck is it? What is it that we're talking about? let's dig into that. Like, let's get in, because I know a little bit about it. I've done some of it and experienced it. But give us the overview. What is it about, and what should I be expecting if I were going to have you do something for me?
Okay, so I'll give you the explanation which I find for myself the most logical one. So Feng Shui is a philosophy of life. It's not the art how to furnish a home or office. It goes way beyond it. And the most important piece in Feng Shui is the flow of the life force energy, also known as Qi. So Qi is bringing vitality, it's bringing health in the business, it's bringing clients, it's bringing money. It's like it's always the art of bringing the Qi into the space, which means into the business, into the life, and letting it flow through the whole space, which is like the body, like our body. We also in the Chinese medicine, in our bodies, it's also about the qi flow. So when you go to acupuncture, if there is a blockage, they will do an acupuncture so the qi in your body is flowing. And this is what Feng Shui is doing in the space. So the same thing, we want to have a harmonious flow of qi, which is bringing in abundance and wealth into our lives. So, and this is the most important piece where we need to look at when we start implementing Feng Shui into our lives.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about, is there something that these entrepreneurs can do straight away to kind of go, okay, let me check this out? Because you're saying it, I may have heard it, I may have seen it on Google, like you said, and I don't believe you. So what can I is there something I can try to kind of get a little bit of, like, maybe I can I can find a little bit of belief, right?
Okay, I love this. I love this question. Okay, so if you, one of the things we say in Feng Shui is what you see is what you get. Okay,
Okay.
so if you take a look around in your home, in your office, and think about it, okay, what you see is what you get. What do I see right now in my space? And how is my life going? How is my business going? Do I want to see abundance in my life? And I'm surrounded by things which are showing me every day another way, another thing, maybe not so much abundance, right? So just relate to this. What you see is what you get. It's just a little tiny piece, but I always think that the best way to experience Feng Shui and how it works is through such little changes and shifts in the perspective. And the moment you have an aha moment, because you see maybe a painting and the painting is showing something like you cannot relate to it anymore, but you could relate to it 2 years ago. But who were you 2 years ago and who are you now? So is it time for this painting to go? So with what you see is what you get, and check your home, check your space, your office, and then see how aligned are those two energies.
I see. So when you say relate and how you relate to that, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, so years ago, I had a client. She called me and she's like, I am working so much and I know I should have more abundance, but somehow I feel trapped. Like, how is it said in English when you have a rat and it's running in the wheel, like
A hamster wheel.
hamster wheel? Yeah, all right. Oh, we have the same word in German. Okay, so the hamster wheel. And I came to her to her office. When I entered, there was a painting, real like I I I sometimes I think, oh, you should have taken a picture, but there was a painting with a hamster wheel in her view. Like what you see is what you get. And every single day she's looking at this painting, and she didn't even see it because we get blind for our surround because they're so common. We see it every day and it's not conscious anymore. but the subconscious sees so much more. And when I pointed this out to her, she's like, oh my God, I cannot believe I didn't see it. Okay. So, and it can be, I was even developing, I was working with the future self concept in your personal development. And then I was thinking, well, Feng Shui is also about future selfing yourself through your space. So if you think about who do you want to be in your business in, I don't know, 5 years, and is your home, how can you create your office to be in the energy you want to feel in 5 years, but you could do it right now, which means every time when you sit at your desk, you don't have to do affirmations, you don't have to think about a vision board, because your desk or your office holds the energy of your future self. And this is also feng shui in a very modern way and still connected to the very roots of the ancient feng shui. I just took out all the confusion and little pieces and bits, and it's all nice, but it's not going to move the needle so much as this concept I just shared with you.
Right. I love that. So, what is the balance between, or is there a balance between clutter and it being okay? Right? When you have um, a lot of things on your desk.
So, somebody recently asked me, do I have to be minimalist? Do I have to be a minimalist to practice feng shui? No, no. I mean, I'm a mother to 4 children, 4 boys in the ages between 7 and 23. We don't live a minimalist life. Like, there's no way, you know. So, because, this piece can also be very stressful if you always think, oh, I have too many things. So, of course, energy cannot flow. And then where attention goes, the energy flows, right? You can also, like, create a problem. There is no problem.
Right.
So, just be aware, and even sometimes your desk needs to be messy because you're working on a couple of different projects. Don't stress it, but every now and then when you're done with the project, clean it, cleanse it, do a closing ritual, and then you start with fresh energy. So this is how I love to work with it, because the last thing we want, and which is the biggest clutter in our lives, Michael, is not even the physical clutter, is the mental clutter. And
Right.
this is what we forget to release. So sometimes I have clients, they have this perfect office, perfect home, and they're like, it's still not flowing. And then when we talk, they carry so much things in their heads. I'm like, okay, so we need to do clutter clearing, but on a different level here. So yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I remember, and I don't know if this is still accurate or if I maybe misinterpreted, but I had a mentor come into a house that I was living in, and they looked around and they were like, "Oh, this is the structure in this room is bad, and we need to counter it somehow and do stuff like that." Like, tell me about that concept and that idea. I mean, is that off base? Is it accurate? Is there just some structure and architecture that just starts bad before you even get moving?
Yes, so it brings us back to the chi flow. So the since chi, if you imagine, like let's just talk about abundance. So chi brings in abundance, and you want to keep the abundance in your space. So if your home is laid out, or your office, so you enter the space and you see the backyard, because there's this huge windows in the back of your home. The abundance, the chi comes in and it flows right out. Okay. So with feng shui, it's like, okay, you can put a fountain in a corner, but the chi is flowing out so fast, it won't even notice the fountain. So the fountain cannot really work. So we first need to take care of the chi. So to maybe place some plants at the back of like in front of those windows. So the plants, they have this power to bring the chi back into the space. So it stops this door window line. So we keep the chi in the space. And then when we activate the fountain, it can have this power of creating more flow in your space.
I love that. And so there must be just so many different iterations and challenges. And so the work that you've done is to learn the fundamental principles of what these things might be, so that you can look at a different space or a different person and how they interact with their space and their own mind. So there just must be this incredible amount of principle and fundamental components that you have to gain in order to be able to look at somebody's space and be able to help design that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of I always tell my students you can learn like feng shui to a certain point in theory, but from there you need to go out and do as many consultations that you can, because so is feng shui. Your feng shui becomes your master. It teaches you the principles because you need to take a closer look. You need to dive deeper. You need to sit and meditate and see, okay, I have never learned this layout of the home and this combination. So what is it, right? So you need to really connect to the consciousness and then to have this, I always call them downloads, like, oh, okay, this is it. So then you have the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are now. I'm in Utah, and I think remind me where you said where you were at now in your journey. You're in
In Belgrade, in
Belgrade. That's
Serbia.
right,
Yes.
Belgrade. So we're on opposite ends of the world, different cultures, different decor, different design and interior design, exterior design. How much does the the culture that you're in and the typical paradigm of what design is in the area, how does that affect your space? Like, should you be concerned with that, or is it literally just what is it about what I want, or is it about what is around me? Is it about what's the real root of it?
So feng shui is invisible. It's not tied to any kind of decor, any kind of certain things. It's very often my clients, especially in the business area, they ask me, "Oh, like, are my clients and my staff are they going to see the bin there? Do I have to place some items somewhere in my home or in my office which are not like in my design?" And no, you don't. You don't have to. It's feng shui is not tied to any culture. It's a Taoistic culture, which means it's a philosophy of life, and it's not tied to any religion. It's not tied to any culture, decor, or style. So you can design like everything with feng shui. It's just the knowing of the placement of the furniture. Well, Michael, I could also say feng shui is energy expressed through design and furniture.
Love that.
This is how
Yeah.
we express it. Because you have to have a tool. Only energy is nice. You can do it to a certain point, but then you always need to hold the energy of the consciousness. And so when you have a certain picture, painting, or how you furnish your home, it anchors the energy in. So you don't have to constantly think about it.
Right. Right. So if somebody had feng shui done on their home and they didn't know it, would it still help them, or do they have to know what was being done? And like you said, if you know about it and you see it and you're acknowledging it, like, does it have to be acknowledged by the person, or is it something that can be done without the person's knowledge, and it works regardless?
It does work, definitely, but the moment the person ties the intention to the feng shui, it accelerates.
I see.
Because, where attention goes, energy flows. And if I place, let's say with the fountain, I place the fountain and the client says, Well, I have no idea what she did. I don't know. It's just water fountain. It can work to a certain extent, but if the client connects flow of abundance with the flow of water, it activates the fountain, and it has a like much stronger impact on their lives.
I see. Makes a lot of sense. I love this, and I feel like there's so many practicalities of it, from having it in your home space to have it in your workspace. What's the impact that you've seen on doing that in your workspace, in addition to your home?
So I always say when we are entrepreneurs, we should take care of the home as well as the workspace because, both are impacting our lives. So in the workspace, it's really interesting because when an entrepreneur, so talking about out of my experience with my clients, um, very often when they ask me for a consultation, they came to a certain point in their development, in their business development, and they feel there must be more, but somehow I don't know what it is. I just can't cross this threshold. And I remember with one entrepreneur, he was sitting in his office with his desk turned so he can take a look at a beautiful view, but he had all his whole team, his whole company was in his back, and he wasn't really connecting to them. So I turned him around, and then I always tell this story because 2 or 3 weeks later he called me. He's like, "What did you do? Because things are like crazy in the company. People are quitting, and this is happening." He's like, "Okay, let's take a look. What is happening there?" So what happened is that he really saw what was going on because when you turn you don't see. And then he was really looking at, and he saw things which were not running smoothly. And then, well, some people went, new people came, there was a restructuring. And from that point on, his business took the lead, and it was in the real estate industry. And he started to do really, really big developments, which were not there before we did the consultation. So it's the business piece, of course, and then we had this puzzle of tuning the space to support his vision.
I love that. I feel like there's just so much. I mean, obviously, our show is called Business Choreography, but I feel like there's so much choreography in the feng shui that you're doing, because you're taking all the pieces and you're figuring out how to bring them together, and then you're adjusting and you're adapting and you're continuing to fix it so that it can optimize to be the best that it can be. And I appreciate that so much. Uh, do you feel like that's an accurate statement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, um, through the connection with the business piece, through my degree, and then the feng shui piece, I can really see sometimes people are having such great visions and great marketing, and the energy of the marketing and the messaging, everything is there, and then they completely forgot to take then their office is with them. Like it's still the old things in the offices, it's still the old vision, it's like, oh, let's upgrade. You upgraded your business and your marketing. Let's upgrade your office. Let's, make it even. You're like, oh
Right.
yeah, okay. So
I love
definitely, yeah.
love that. How can people work with you? I mean, if they're listening to this right now and they're thinking, "Gosh, you know what? It's time. You're right. I need to look at this and I need to apply this." How can I work with you? You're in Belgrade. Like I live in Utah. Okay, so tell us about the process. What's the process look like? And if we wanted to reach out and get in touch, how do we do that? And what happens next?
Okay, so I've developed a process how to do feng shui consultations remotely. And it's really, it's very close. We need some information. We have few conversations so that I get the feeling where, like, what's going on, where do the people need support? And then we work the process. And a feng shui consultation is not just, okay, here's your presentation, and then look what's happening. The feng shui consultation is here is what I recommend you to do. And now let's stay connected while you're implementing everything what I recommended to you, to see if something happens, like with my client, where things first get a little bit crazy, that we can work through this transition, right? So that you can level up. So it's a process, and it depends just from the size of the consultation, how long it takes. But I always walk with my clients through the whole process until they say, okay, I'm fine. And then, yeah, they can go ahead.
I love that. Where can people find you and connect with you?
Okay, so best way is Instagram. This is my happy place, unfolding space, EN for English. Without the EN, you will just see my English, my German speaking website, which is fine. And then also my website, unfoldingspace.com/EN. This is the ways how you can connect and find me.
I love that. Guys, go check it out. This is powerful stuff. And I know I've had some great experiences with it on my journey. And you definitely want to reach out and talk to Danijela and see what she can do for you and your business. And, it's interesting because when it comes to choreography, you have to take care of everything. And, I relate it back to my days with my professional dancers. It was everything from the shoes they wore, the costumes they wore, how they did their hair, all the way into the choreography and the steps they did and the things they didn't do. You have to take care of the whole system. It's not just the marketing. It's not just the sales. It's not the operations. It's everything, your space and the energy around you. So take this opportunity to do something that might not have been on your radar and reach out to Danijela and see how she can help you, because this is some cool stuff, and you can't afford in your journey to have your empire, whatever size that is. You can't afford not to turn over every stone along the way. So I appreciate it. Danijela, can you leave us with some last words of wisdom before we head out?
Yeah, I always love to say, no matter how complicated it may seem, just pick the easiest step you can take right now. And even if you just turn around, I don't know, one thing, or let go of one book you don't need anymore, you have started the process. And this is how you will gain momentum.
I love that. I love that. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. Danijela, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing with us your journey and your wisdom. All of you guys out there listening, don't forget, keep working on choreographing your business. We'll see you guys next time on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us today.
Want more business choreography?
Check out our website at bizchoreo.com to find out more.
And find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Remember, every business needs choreography.